One moment, the evening streets of Kelmere were quiet under a thin veil of rain. The next, a wind like a living thing tore down the lane, rattling shutters and shaking the old stone houses. In the middle of it, two figures stumbled through the darkness, their bare feet splashing through puddles, their bodies wrapped only in torn scraps of fabric. They were alien, anyone could see that. Their skin, faintly luminous under the street lamps, shimmered like pearl and bronze. Their eyes were large, reflecting light in shades of green and gold. They clung to each other as they moved, heads low against the rain. Evan Dre, leaning on the doorframe of his small terrace home, was just locking up for the night when he saw them. They were barely more than silhouettes at first, but as they drew closer, he realized just how exhausted they were. One staggered, and the other caught her under the arms, half dragging her forward. When they reached his gate, they stopped, uncertain. "Please," the taller one said. Her voice was hoarse, the word thick with an unfamiliar accent. "We need shelter." Evan hesitated. He'd seen enough strange things in his life to know these weren't just lost tourists from a shipport. Their kind didn't usually wander human towns unannounced, not without papers, not without protection. But then the shorter one lifted her face, and he saw the desperation in her eyes. Not hunger alone, not cold alone, the kind of desperation that said they had nowhere left to run. "Inside," he said, pushing the door open wider. The warmth of his small living room seemed to startle them. The fire in the hearth threw golden light across their faces as they stepped inside, dripping onto the worn rug. "You're freezing," Evan muttered, closing the door against the howl of the wind. "Sit by the fire. I'll find something dry." They obeyed without question, huddling together on the floor. He fetched an old blanket and draped it over their shoulders. The taller one murmured something to the other in a language he didn't understand. "What happened to you?" he asked, kneeling beside them. The taller girl met his gaze. "We were taken," she said slowly, "brought here for trade. We escaped." Evan's stomach tightened. Trade. He didn't need her to explain further. He'd heard whispers about off-world traffickers operating in the back lanes of port cities. "You've got no ship, no way back home." The shorter girl shook her head. "No home. Not anymore." Evan exhaled slowly, leaning back on his heels. He wasn't rich. He wasn't a hero, just a man who fixed boats for a living. But leaving them out there, that wasn't an option. "You can stay here for now," he said. "At least until we figure something out." The taller girl bowed her head slightly. "Thank you. Human." "Name's Evan," he said. "And you?" "Ah." She hesitated, then said, "Sarah." She nodded toward her companion. "This is Lethra." That night, Evan gave them his bed, taking the armchair by the fire for himself. He could hear them whispering in the next room, their voices low, sometimes breaking into muffled laughter despite everything. By morning, they looked a little less fragile. Sarah's posture was straighter, Lethra's eyes brighter. Evan found some of his older clothes and cut them down to fit, not perfectly, but enough to keep them warm. "You'll blend in better this way," he said, handing them the altered shirts and trousers. Sarah tilted her head. "Blend in. People notice things that look different. If anyone asks, you're visiting cousin from far away." Lethra smiled faintly. "Far away, yes." Days turned into weeks. Evan found himself growing used to their presence. The way Lethra would hum softly while helping with the washing up. The way Sarah liked to sit at the window in the evenings, watching the lights in the harbor. But he also noticed they never ventured far from the house. If someone knocked unexpectedly, they'd vanish into the back room without a word. One night, as the rain tapped gently against the glass, Sarah spoke. "We cannot stay forever," she said quietly. "If they find us—" "They won't," Evan interrupted. "Not while you're under my roof." Lethra's eyes met his. "Why help us? We have nothing to give." Evan smiled faintly. "When I was younger, I was lost once too. Someone opened their door to me. Guess I'm just returning the favor." Sarah studied him for a long moment, then gave the smallest of nods. The day trouble finally came. It wasn't with a storm. It was with silence. A black transport pulled up outside. Two men stepped out, their clothes too clean, their eyes too cold. They knocked. Evan opened the door only a fraction. "We're looking for two girls," the taller man said. "Runaways. Probably hiding. Might have come this way." Evan's heart pounded, but his face stayed calm. "Haven't seen anyone like that." The man's gaze flicked past him, scanning the room. Evan shifted his body just enough to block the view. After a long pause, they turned away. The transport pulled off into the rain. When he closed the door, Sarah and Leffler emerged from the back, their eyes wide. "They'll come again," Sarah said. "Then we make a plan," Evan replied. And they did. Within 2 days, he'd arranged passage with an old friend who captained the supply ship. No questions asked, no papers required. The night before they left, the three of them sat by the fire in silence. When it was finally time to say goodbye, Leffler threw her arms around him without warning. "We will remember," she whispered. Sarah lingered by the doorway, meeting his gaze one last time. "You gave us more than shelter," she said. "You gave us a beginning." And then they were gone, swallowed by the misty dawn. Weeks later, Evan found something on the mantel, a small, smooth stone, faintly glowing. He didn't know what it meant. But every night after, when the wind howled down the street, he'd touch it and remember 2 alien girls who had nothing until a human opened his door.